Ambassador Zethkar of the Vraxian Empire adjusted his ceremonial battle crest as he surveyed the crowded diplomatic station orbiting Kepler 442. Representatives from 47 species had gathered for the Terran integration hearing, a bureaucratic formality that would determine humanity's place in the Galactic Confederation. The consensus was already clear. Humans were weak. "Look at them," hissed Counselor Vex through her translator implant, her four eyes focusing on the human delegation. No natural armor, no claws, no venom sacs. Their military simulations show they rely entirely on primitive projectile weapons. Zethkar nodded, his mandibles clicking in agreement. The Vraxians had conquered 3 star systems through superior biology alone. Razor-sharp exoskeletons and acidic blood made them nearly invincible in close combat. The psychological profiles are even more damning. They form emotional attachments to offspring, compromising tactical decisions. They show mercy to enemies. They even keep non-productive members of their species alive out of sentiment. The hearing chamber buzzed with similar conversations. The crystalline collective's representative pulsed with amused light patterns. The hive mind of Regulus transmitted mocking pheromone signatures. Even the peaceful ethereal council seemed dismissive of humanity's potential contribution to galactic civilization. Dr. Sarah Chen, humanity's lead ambassador, sat calmly among her small delegation. Her 6-year-old daughter, Emma, played quietly with a tablet beside her, an unusual sight that had drawn condescending comments from multiple species. "Who brought children to diplomatic proceedings? The hearing will now commence," announced Prime Arbiter Colthax, his voice reverberating through bioacoustic amplifiers. "Species designation, human. Planet of origin, Terra, Sol system. Population, 8.2 billion. Military assessment." Zethkar tuned out the formal proceedings. He'd read the reports. Humans possessed average intelligence, below average physical capabilities, and an inexplicably inefficient social structure built around individual units rather than collective optimization. They would be classified as a protected species, useful for menial labor under Confederation oversight. The chamber's attention shifted as Ambassador Chen rose to present humanity's case. She spoke eloquently about human achievements, their art, their science, their capacity for growth. Zethkar found it quaint but irrelevant. The galaxy didn't need more poets or philosophers. Then the lights went out. Emergency bioluminescence strips flickered on as the station's defensive system screamed warnings. Through the transparent aluminum viewports, massive shapes emerged from hyperspace, the unmistakable silhouettes of Devour-class vessels belonging to the consuming swarm. The swarm was every species' nightmare. Insectoid creatures that stripped worlds bare, consuming all organic matter before moving to the next system. They had never penetrated this deep into Confederation space before. Panic erupted in the chamber. The Vraxians immediately formed defensive clusters, their battle instincts overriding diplomatic protocol. The crystallines began their lengthy transformation into combat configurations. The ethereals attempted to establish psychic contact with the attackers, following their non-violent doctrine even in the face of extinction. "All delegates to emergency evacuation pods," Colthax commanded, but his voice was nearly drowned out by the chaos. That's when Zethkar saw something that would haunt his dreams and reshape his understanding of the universe. A swarm infiltration unit, a creature resembling a massive praying mantis with molecular sharp claws, had breached the chamber's hull. It moved with terrifying speed toward the nearest organic signatures, the human delegation. Ambassador Chen didn't run. She didn't call for help. She didn't even reach for a weapon. She simply stepped between the creature and her daughter. The swarm unit struck with claws that could slice through Vraxian exoskeletons like tissue paper. Chen caught its forearm with her bare hands. Zethkar watched in stunned disbelief as the human woman, who possessed no natural weapons, no armor, no enhanced physiology, held back a creature designed by evolution to be the perfect killer. Her hands were being shredded by the molecular edges, blood flowing freely. By all biological logic, she should have been dead within seconds, but she held on. "Emma, run," Chen whispered, never taking her eyes off the creature's compound gaze. "Find the Vraxians. They'll protect you." The child obeyed without question, sprinting toward Zethkar's position. The swarm unit tried to pivot, to follow the smaller prey, but Chen wrenched its attention back to herself with a ferocity that defied explanation. She couldn't win. Everyone in the chamber knew it. The creature was 3 times her size, armed with natural weapons that had evolved over millions of years for maximum lethality. Chen was already wounded, her strength failing, but she fought anyway. Not with technique or training or superior technology. She fought with something the galaxy had never properly catalogued or understood: the absolute refusal of a human parent to allow harm to come to their child. Zethkar found himself moving without conscious thought, his warrior instincts finally overriding his shock. Other species followed, crystallines completing their combat transformations, ethereals abandoning pacifist doctrine, even the peaceful harmonic collective adding their sonic weapons to the fray. The swarm unit fell under their combined assault, but not before delivering what should have been a fatal blow to Ambassador Chen. She collapsed, her body broken but her eyes still fixed on her daughter's position. Emma was safe behind Vraxian battle lines, tears streaming down her face as she called for her mother. "Medics," Zethkar commanded, his translator struggling to convey the urgency in his native tongue. "Get the human medics." As emergency medical teams worked to stabilize Chen, Prime Arbiter Colthax's voice echoed through the chamber with a tone none had heard before: "Respect. The integration hearing is suspended pending review of new data. It appears our assessment of human capabilities requires significant revision." 3 months later, Ambassador Chen, recovered but bearing scars she wore like badges of honor, stood before the full Galactic Council as humanity was inducted as a full member species with all rights and protections. The classification was unprecedented: protective combat species with special designation for child-rearing units. Zethkar, now serving as military liaison to the human colonies, often reflected on that day. The galaxy had learned something that would reshape interstellar politics for generations. It wasn't humanity's strength that made them formidable. It was their absolute refusal to surrender what they loved, even when logic dictated defeat. The consuming swarm learned this lesson the hard way when they encountered human colony ships. They discovered that creatures who would die with bare hands for their children would do considerably more damage when properly armed and motivated. The galaxy never doubted human resolve again.